Ndị be anyị ekenekwanụ m unu ọzọ n'ụbọchị nke taa. A sịkwa unu daalụ ndị nne nke onye chikwara ya zelu. A sị na ya dịrị onye ọbụla nke na-akwado Onyendu Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. A sị na ya dịrị ya na mma. Onye ọbụla nke na-akwado maka nnwere onwe, maka mkpagbu a na-eme ndị Igbo na Naịjirịa. Onye ọbụla nke na-ekwu okwu maka ife a na-eme ndị Igbo adịrọ mma. A sị na ya dịrị onye a na mma. Ise na ya dịka echi na echi ada agwụ agwụ. Alright, a sị na ya dịrị onye a na mma na nkwọ, dịkwara ya na mma na orie, dịkwaziere ya mma na afọ, dịkwaziere ya mma na nkwọ na eke. Ise n'afịa ịnọ nke ndị Igbo ji wee bili, ọ ya dịrị onye a mma. Onye ọbụla, ndị ọbụla, ebe ọbụla ha si wee na-ekwu okwu maka nnwere onwe Nnamdi Kanu and nnwere onwe Biafra n'ụlọ ya dịka echi. Ọ naghị kwuru na aka ọ ya adị. Alright, ise ka agbapụ na ọsọ na-egosi na ife ji maka ya wee bịa unu n'anya n'ụbọchị nke gara aga. Ewetara unu nnukwu ozi from the office of Onyendu Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. O nwere prọfesi o nyere ọsịta maka worship China ịbata obodo a, mana kwunu mana worship abatara obodo ya to continue the part 3 part 2 ya bụ ife a kịta, ihe a part 2 ya. Then tomorrow we'll be completing all the parts tomorrow. Unu n'anya were ife Onyendu kwuru na ya bụ ife n'elu akwụkwọ. Ọ shọkwuru m nnukwu. Onyendu bụ nnukwu ezigbo onye ozi ndị Igbo kwesịrị ka fa larapụ iji awa egwu. Ihe nna gwa unu bụ eziokwu, a na-akụlọ mmiri. Gee na ya bụ ife, unu ga-esi ya bụ ife na drop your own comment on the comment section below. Alright, over to you, sir.
I'm about to reveal the plans of the caliphate, so you understand the way they operate. Now, anywhere you see a lorry broken down, Dangote lorry, they take off the tire, it's broken down. That place is a place where they have used to supply arms to the Janjaweed in the forest. Anywhere you see any broken down Dangote truck in the south, go into the bushes, the Fulanis are there, the arms are there. We know, we found them. But I cannot tell you what we are doing with it. We have their arms for your information. Right today, what's they talking about? Today's date is Sunday the 7th of June. Today is Sunday the 7th of June, 28 minutes to 9 p.m. in Biafra land, GMT. Sometimes we ask GMT. I'm telling you this. We have recovered some guns from them. Write it down so in the future you will reference today's date and what I told you. Anywhere you see a Dangote truck broken down, is no longer working, they are changing the tire, they are fixing the engine, that same place, watch very carefully, you will see Okada, you see motorbikes come and go. Motorbikes will come and go. They are taking arms into the bushes, into the forest. Therefore, Dangote is a part and parcel of this jihadi conquest of the South. And Yoruba, you are in trouble. Yoruba, hey, serious trouble, I'm telling you this. Now, anytime there is a breakdown problem with a lorry, Dangote, especially from the north, they are distributing weapons. Distributing weapons. Anywhere you see a helicopter hovering like the one we had in Ebonyi a few days ago, they are arrested because we've driven them away. So they are stalking them. The Nigerian army is involved in arming dangerous terrorists and bandits to kill you. Therefore, in fact, China has sent those pictures to Amaka to post everywhere for the world to see. I want it posted because I want everybody who is from Ebonyi, every Biafran from Ebonyi state, serving in the Nigerian army. I want to let you know that that same Nigerian army is busy, as you're fighting Boko Haram in Meduguri, in Adamawa, in Taraba, in Yobe. The same army you're wearing the uniform, doing Oshebe with, they are supplying their brothers, their terrorists to take over your village, to kill your mother, to kill your father, to kill your relatives. I want those pictures to be distributed. Now that the world, the places where I posted, we drove them out. They waited for some days. They started to resupply them with arms. We have it. Helicopter. Nigerian army. In Ebonyi state. In Ebonyi. And there are people from Ebonyi State serving. I don't. Is the warped reasoning of a black man. I don't know how you can be serving in an army that is busy trying to take over your own village and kill your people. Anywhere you hear a helicopter hovering near a forest, they are supplying their people there. That is the preferred method of the governor of Kaduna State, Nasser El-Rufai. That's the method. And as I told you, he is part and parcel of the Janjaweed Brigade, those seeking to conquer the whole South. Anywhere, as I told you before, Iguacha is important for them, River State, where they have their men saboteurs. River State, they need it at all cost. I said at all cost. Some of you don't know the battles that Wike is fighting. You have no idea. If you know the battles that man is fighting, I'm telling you, if you see him, you bow for him. The man is fighting a battle with demons everywhere. Fulani wants to take over, do you call it River State so people can hear? They want to take over River State at all cost and by every means. I said at all cost. They have brought out their people to confuse you. They need it. That was why they got that idiot to write and say, oh, Ibibia is not my happiness now is that people have now discovered where they come from. He didn't say Niger Delta. See how we killed off the whole Niger Delta nonsense. No longer Niger Delta. You know, if it's we Niger Deltans. We have killed off that rubbish. Answer your name. What is your name? Ibibio. So we can know you. What is your name? Igbo. So we can know you when we are talking. What is your name? I'm Ejo. So we can know who you are when we're talking to you. They want Iguacha to go because they need the oil. They are very lazy children of darkness. They don't go to work. They have nothing. For them to continue to have access to the oil and the oil revenue, they need to maintain their stranglehold on power. And Iguacha is critical. Now you know. People advising us. I spoke to a very high-ranking security officer and they said, every home must get a double barrel. I spoke to a high-ranking person in the army, a Hausa man. You won't believe it. After telling me how great they think what I'm doing is, that they couldn't, them as Hausas cannot believe that a Biafran can be fighting for them. A Hausa military officer is telling me this. Oh dear me. He said to me, tell your people everybody must go and get a double barrel. Because they are coming. In fact, not that they're coming. They're in the bushes already. They're going to pour out very soon. The more, you know what the man said to me? And I was top ranking army. You know what he said to me? The closer you get to revealing what is inside that rock. Now people know. He said to me, now, he said before when you were struggling all these years, you have not passed 60%. You know what he said to me? On Thursday, now, 65% of the people of the North now know that what you're saying is true. There is no longer. And I asked him pointedly, as an army officer, you are Hausa. Is there any Buhari in Asorok? He said no. There's no Buhari there. I was a man. He said to me, it's very ironic. We are looking up to a Biafran now to save Hausa people. Oh dear. Oh dear. He said to me, go to the radio and tell your people, everybody must buy a double barrel and keep it with you when you're sleeping. Because they are coming. It's the plan of the government. As they are diverting your attention. Oh, we even won. Igbo presidency. That presidency. Go and register. Join political party. All diversionary tactics designed to take your eyes away from the threat and the danger. Which is the Fulani people in our bushes. They have come to take over our land. Listen very carefully. Those that said that the zoo is indivisible, has it not divided already by itself? That somebody can come, the same people making the argument that, oh, you cannot come out and say, oh, the presidency is your turn. The same people that when Jonathan was there, they kept saying, it's our turn, it's our turn, it's our turn. All of a sudden, they are now in power, like the Islamic Brotherhood always does. You know, the Islamic extremists, the brother, they always go to polls to go and win election. Once they get into power, they now tell you about Islam and Sharia, that there should be no election anymore. That's what they have done. They were clamoring every day. It's our turn. We are robbed with Yaradua. You must give us our mandate back. Let's complete our turn. From completing their turn, all of a sudden, they are now saying that all this rotational presidency, is it presidential limited? They are trying to be clever. Fulani think they are smart. It is only Yoruba cowardice that is making Fulani feel they have power. I'm saying it live so the world can hear. I don't hate anybody. I tell you the truth. The only thing giving Fulani courage to be killing people, to be doing what they're doing, is the cowardice of the Yoruba race. And their unfounded and stupid hatred of an Igbo man. Those two things. If Yoruba can go back tonight and remove those two things from their mind, before God and man, I'm telling you, by this time next week, there will be no more Nigeria, everybody will be free. Yoruba should stop being afraid of the Fulani. You must stop being afraid of them. They are like darkness. Switch on the light and they flee. As we have done. Now, how many Efulefus do you get from Biafra land now? We have chased them so much. Only the hardened ones, those they pay direct, are the ones now talking. Every Efulefu is asleep. Only the ones that are paying direct are the ones. But very soon, they will all go to sleep as well. Mark the date, the time. I don't make videos. There's no need for it. Very soon, they too will stop talking. They will know. We brought down the zoo. Talk less of riffraffs that we feed. Oh dear. We shall see. Shall see. Today now, the whole world knows. Not just that IPOB is fighting for Christians everywhere. You can hear it from Asorok. IPOB is fighting for Christians. And IPOB, they are Jews. They are fighting for Christians. Are you listening? Because we want the good of everybody. Of everybody. Of everybody. Now listen. You know that in Islam, you don't wear shoe to enter the mosque. We know that very well. Everybody knows that. Not even socks. You do ablution and you go in and you pray, you come out. Ask yourself this question. Why would somebody they claim is Buhari, of course, which you know to be Aisha's boyfriend wearing a face mask, why would he wear shoes into the mosque? They will look at him. They will look at the legs. He's a young boy. And now you know, don't you? It's called common sense. Putting one and one together to get two. Simple common sense. Which of course is not. People who can see they are thieving Daddy Gio and call him a good man, and somebody who is a freedom fighter is a fraudster, is a scam. What do you think that person has upstairs? Nothing. That's how foolish they are. And people are wondering, why is Africa poor? Africa is poor because of how you reason. You reason like poor idiots. You don't reason very well. That is why everybody is poor. You don't reason very well. We must conclude based on the picture we saw yesterday. I'm trying to tell you what is happening in the zoo. That even the hitman himself is dead. Who is Buhari? Though he's dead, they are carrying on the Janjaweed agenda. They're in a hurry. In so much hurry that the man with the mask couldn't even take off his shoes before he entered the mosque to go and pray. And he's sitting down on a chair. The old dead Buhari, even if he's dying, can never sit on a chair in the mosque. Never. Fulani is doing all this. It's called Takia. They want to deceive all of you just to remain in power. As the Archbishop said, that is what children of darkness does. That is their job. They need political power to wreak havoc. Is that not happening in the zoo now? Deaths every day, killings everywhere. That is no longer news. And will BBC report it? They're talking about Africa. COVID-19. Will they report about the news of the dead or of people being slaughtered by the Fulanis? The answer is no. Nobody is allowed to pray in the shoes in the mosque, but only in the zoo called Nigeria. Only in the zoo. There are, when people talk about Biafra and secession, there are things they don't quite know about the views of the granddaddy of tribalism and ethnic bigotry. They try to accuse me of being an ethnic bigot. they have cleverly forgot what Ahmadu Bello said. I didn't start it. Ahmadu Bello, a Fulani man started it by saying, although we are Nigerians, but I will not give job to an Igbo man. If there is no northerner who can do the job, I'll give it to a white man. If there is no white man, then I'll give it to Yoruba, maybe. Didn't you hear when Ahmadu Bello said that? Are you deaf? All of you are deaf. Those of you claiming you're intellectuals and we're intellectual. What IPOB is doing? Were you deaf? When Ahmadu Bello was saying that, were you deaf? You claim today you're preaching to me about one Nigeria. One Nigeria. When Ahmadu Bello, the founder of Fulani ethnic bigotry, when he was talking his nonsense, where were you? Where were you? You were deaf and dumb. We have the videos on my page. Go there, you scroll down, you will see it. Mouthing rubbish. You never said a word. Now, when I say my people should be free, I am the one who is at fault. You don't know that white people are intelligent. When I go to meetings with them, that's what I tell them. Oh, but Mr. Kanu, they said you're an ethnic bigot. You know what I do? I call our deputy Uche, put on that clip for them. And we project it on the wall. And by the time the clip finishes, you see them scratching their heads. I said, okay, next item. And that one is buried. They don't know how prepared we are. You know, it's actually a very good thing. When we started, they said, oh, they are adults. They're uneducated. They didn't go to school. Then that reminded me of what we used to hear in the village when we were small. If you're boiling rice or whatever and you cover it and you're busy playing video game, by the time you come, there'll be steam everywhere. There'll be sludge on the top of the cooker. If you're using firewood to cook, the pot will so much boil over that the liquid in the pot will quench the fire. The firewood will go off because you ignored that little pot. That was, you know that Elohim is miraculous. They looked at you, then, oh, no, they're not intellectuals. They're not, oh, no, leave them. They're touts. They're looking for money. Hey, they know nothing. By the time they came back, the zoo had crumbled. They are playing with us. They don't know who we are. Let me tell you what Ahmadu Bello said in 1964. I tweeted, that's what everyone has to be on Twitter. I tweeted and I said what the man said in the tweet that I made. I think that was yesterday. Go to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter and become educated. Follow me on Twitter. My official account, I think, is 142,000 followers. And I love them because they retweet. All I'm asking you to do is just to retweet, that's all. Retweet only, that is all. Do you know what Ahmadu Bello said? That man that hates Igbo so much. If the East, he never said the East, which means Ibibio, it means Kalabari, it means Efik, it means Oron, it means Anang, it means Ekoi people, it means Jaram, it means Ishekiri, it means Urobo. Everybody, he said the East. East. Ahmadu Bello. If the East insists on seceding, which means that the yearning for freedom didn't start today. In 1964, before Nzogbu's coup, before the war, even the Janjaweed, they knew we wanted to go to be on our own. Ahmadu Bello said in 1964, if the East insisted on seceding, then other Nigerians ought to secede. Other Nigerians ought to concede such a right in peace. When the granddaddy of Fulani Janjaweedism, Ahmadu Bello, was saying this in 1964, he said, allow Biafra to go in peace. But they did not want to ignore what he said, because at least I like them that way. They never ignore their past masters, even if they are dead. So to carry out that, to wage that war against the East, they brought Gowon, who is a Christian and not a Fulani man, to wage that war. Because if they are the ones waging this war, Americans and the French would have asked them, but Ahmadu Bello said, allow them to go in peace. That's what Ahmadu Bello said. Then why are you fighting? They said, okay, instead of us to implicate ourselves that way, let's call a foolish Christian like Gowon, make him head of state, give him the template of the war to go and fight a war. And that was what the idiotic Gowon did for them. Not knowing that he's being used. Today they have massacred all these people. And they are crying in the Middle Belt. Don't you know that? You can't escape history. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. And I mentioned the children of light versus darkness because I'll keep making references to it. Remember, you see why I like Trump? You see why I like him? Do you know that had it been Obama, who is the president of Obama, destroyed 5 African countries, for information. 5 was destroyed. Are you telling me that this man called Adesina will be probed? There is corruption everywhere in the zoo. Every ethnicity, they're all corrupt, all of them. As long as you're in limelight, you're a thief. Do you know that after making noise, that the board of the African Development Bank, AFDB, have now authorized an independent probe of the president, Akinwumi Adesina? And who authorized it? Who asked for this probe to be carried? United States of America. Do you see how people who are just and upright, the way they behave? It doesn't matter whether it's evil. They don't have any right to interfere in ADB. No right whatsoever. But the man saw something wrong. Something wrong. Nepotism in Africa Development Bank. What this are they? Is it Akinwumi Adesina was doing? I said, no, go and probe him. We have seen something. That is how honest, decent people behave. I have nothing against this man, but he needs to step down because he is corrupt. He is corrupt. Akinwumi Adesina is a corrupt banker in ADB. But because he's corrupt, see how they're protecting him. Obasanjo, you see how Aisha's boyfriend, they brought it because they need Yoruba. They need every friend they can get to keep Nigeria one. They need every friend, everybody, anybody who has friends outside to keep saying Nigeria is great. That's why they're supporting evil. That is why they're supporting evil. My goodness. But at least USA, they are probing them. They are probing them because they are all thieves, they are all criminals. Where have you heard in your life that a presidential villa is on fire? Where in your life have you heard? They tried to break into the office. It was impossible to break into. Are you aware of that? Go and look at all the pictures they are now releasing and pictures they used when Abakari was alive of the presidential office is no longer the same. I wish China Sassom to do something about it. Look for the old picture of Asorok. Look for the new picture of Asorok office, presidential office. It is no longer the same. That was why they said there is fire. So they can bring in bulldozer and knock the whole thing down and start again. Because they know I get my information from inside Asorok. They know I do. They know I do. If they like, let them sack everybody there. I will still get my information from right inside there. Do you know that's what happened? They had to build an emergency presidential office. Go and look at, and no, not even IPOB. Anybody can do it. Look for meetings inside Asorok before the end of 2019. Then look for all, since Aisha took over with her boyfriend, look at all their pictures and tell me if the offices are the same. They're no longer the same. Because the original presidential office, it had 2 glass shelves by the side. The new one doesn't have any. They had to do something to make you believe that that is Asorok, the main office itself. The reason why they said there was fire is to allow the Chinese engineers to bring in heavy machinery. It's like taking away a bank's vault. Those of you in the banking sector, taking away a vault. It's not something you can just do with ordinary acetane, whatever, that thing they use to to the blowtorch to open it. The Chinese tried. They couldn't open it. Now they said there is fire inside. Have you heard of such rubbish before? Fire inside the presidential villa? And sometimes I wonder what sort of God, what sort of God created Nigerian people? Who made you people that you cannot reason? Fire inside it, and people just dismissed it as if it's nothing. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Somebody is asking no news about Ambazonia. The news is not correct. It is not correct. From Ambazonia, it is not correct. I must say that as a fact, it's not correct. We have made our checks and I have spoken to the leadership. It is not correct. The news from Ambazonia is not correct. I have spoken to the leadership of the movement. I have spoken to them. Fire in Asorok. Where have you heard of that nonsense before? The same Garabashiru. Maybe they have reconciled with Aisha. If you sack me, I'll tell the whole world what happened. It's okay, come in. You know, the zoo, they operate on blackmail. That's the way they do it. On blackmail. I can see that some of my Yoruba brothers are crying and complaining about Akim Wumi of Africa. He is corrupt, he's a thief. And Trump called him out. Trump said, don't tell me that rubbish. Go and investigate him. And he's crying, and he'll be found guilty, of course. Because they can't ask for you to be investigated unless there is incontrovertible proof they've done something wrong. That is how it works in the financial sector. It's numbers and figures. That's where we know. That's how we do it. Asorok is on fire. Are you aware? Central Bank fire. Accountant General's office on fire. Asorok on fire. And people think everything is normal. You think everything is normal. This is why I call you zoo animals. That's why I call you zoo. Zoo people. Because you don't reason. Only animals reason the way that Nigerians do. They don't reason very well. Mind you, I said Nigerians, so I never insulted Oduduwa, Yoruba. I never insulted Biafrans. I never insulted Arewa. I said Nigeria. Please. So if you feel a Nigerian then, and you want to feel insulted, that's entirely up to you. You are at liberty to do so. But there is nowhere in the world where a presidential villa is on fire. Go through your records. Go and check. How can there be fire? When there's fire extinguisher everywhere. For a fire to be reported, it had to be major. Common sense. Common sense. I think we don't know. They are now going to move in the heavy machinery. Oh, there was a fire yesterday. Shebi, you know, hear about them. Shebi, you know, see for channels. There was fire now. Madam said there's fire. To give them the cover they need to bring in the heavy equipment to break down the office that has Abakiari's and fingerprints. You have forgotten. It took them nearly 4 months when Buhari died to get Abakiari to access the office. Now Abakiari is dead. It will take them another 4 months to complete it. Watch and see now. They've tried and tried and tried. They now have to go and check the pictures. They now have to stop a temporary office of the president. This one now has curtains at the back. They think we are foolish. They don't know who we are. Yeah, we are miscreants, so by the way, don't forget. They've grown tired of the name miscreants. What they're not saying is that they are scammers. They have run out of what to say. Completely and totally. They are now called scammers. That's the new phrase. Your daddy GO is not. Those looting and burning everywhere, they are not. Black, Monsieur G. Black. We have come to switch on the light that your stupidity may flee. Very, very daft indeed. And you're wondering why you are suffering. We must do something. We are suffering. We are suffering too much in this country. Your stupidity is why you're suffering. Your brain, the stupidity programmed into your brain by nature is the reason why you are suffering. You are black. You are suffering the same way they're killing us in America. Are you telling me that had black people developed one slightly decent country in Africa, that whites would be killing you? How many Asians have they killed? Can't you ask yourselves, how many Asians? They are killing blacks in America because Africa, black Africa, is a disappointment. A disappointment. That is why they are killing blacks in America. If you don't know, let me tell you. The time now has come to almost 9 p.m. land of Biafra. I must preach. Elohim gave me a message, and that's exactly what I'm delivering this evening. A message that must be preached. Buhari is not in charge of Asorok, says Professor Shoyinka. Shoyinka said, well, my first reaction was, thank goodness that people like Omar spoke. He always hits the nail on the head. And then he continued, well, I'm appalled. I'm very sorry to say, I have been studying the trend over the past year and a half, and I believe this president is not in charge of this nation in so many aspects and directions. I am convinced he is not really and totally with it. There is no president. No longer Nnamdi Kanu IPOB is saying it, but Shoyinka is saying it. Everybody is saying it. But because darkness is still in charge, that is why you are blind, you cannot see. And that light is what IPOB is switching on, so that you can see that Asorok is empty. Let me have a sip of water. Unlike the impostor before he died, Jibril is dead. That's why nobody can speak anymore. Jibril is gone. Jibril is gone. Is that Asha's boyfriend? They're still teaching him how to speak. Now you understand it very well, don't you? Shoyinka have now confirmed what I have always been saying. What I always said. The Asorok is empty. Buhari is not there. It doesn't matter the American one that they use. It doesn't matter how many fake pictures they release. The only presidency in the world that doesn't address the press, doesn't answer questions from anybody. Live broadcast, you have to beg them to do it. There is nothing. In fact, even when they ask for live, they record some nonsense and bring hole in the neck. You see all this evidence before you. No wonder Nigerian churches are so hopeless. Even when all the evidence is before them, they still write a ruling that is almost incomprehensible. You are a human being. God gave you brain, gave you eyes, gave you ears. You saw somebody without a hole in his neck before. He traveled to Cuba. All of a sudden there's a hole in his neck. You couldn't ask questions. And you're telling me you're normal. You're a human being that ought to be respected. I sincerely do not think so. Now, Shoyinka have seen what we have seen. Now, the banditry is increasing. Now, the Fulani criminality is not just in looting and burning. They are killing people, abducting health workers in Katsina, even in the home state of the brutal terrorist himself, Buhari, who is now dead and buried in Saudi Arabia. There is Janjaweedism in full force. They consume themselves. Can you now see it? Even Katsina state is no longer safe. Elohim works in miracles. They thought they're coming after IPOB, coming after Biafra to try to stop Biafra. But that same cancer is eating them up. And everybody is now getting their own fair share, isn't it? Of corruption. You know that Janjaweedism is a form of corruption. That is why a country, somebody tells me he's an Igbo man. He's from Ejo, he's from Ibibio. And you claim you are part of one Nigeria. But they went a collected loan on your behalf. That the money they will use to, where they will get the money to repay the loan is from your land. Yet you're not part of the beneficiary of it. And when you say you're marginalized, they say, oh, what do you mean by marginalization? But you went and you collected loan of 22.7 billion. Yet there is no single allocation. Not one single allocation.
Alright, I see no dalon lene no. Kono sikpa neso ila inilu akwụkwọ n'ife anyị na-eme ọfụma n'ụbọchị nke taa. Okay, unu na-anya unu anụgonu ka onye ndị si wee kwuo okwu n'ilu akwụkwọ a. Ebe okwu bụ okwu gbara m ume ya bụ okwu voice ya nugodi sef I'm just adị m nnọọ obi dị m nnọọ sọsọ pụrịna ịnugodi ozi ịnugodi voice Onyendu Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Then ụmụ Biafra ụmụchukwu dịka unu gesịrị ya bụ ife yes ka efu unu uchelu na ife Onyendu kwugasịrị n'iru akwụkwọ a gịnị ka unu uchelu gbasara ya ka bụkwa na drọpụrụ na ya na comment section below. Once again, this is Eastern News 24 where we give to you the latest news concerning what is happening in Biafra land and the old eastern part of Nigeria. Daalụ ndị nne n'ụmụchukwu ka emesịa.